Roger Federer built a career that made tennis look almost unfairly easy, but one leading expert believes Jannik Sinner deserves a serious place beside him. That comparison sounds ridiculous until the evidence reaches the court. Sinner strikes earlier, moves faster, and controls rallies with frightening precision. Federer answered pressure with variety, touch, and a serve that regularly rescued him from danger. However, this debate is not simply 20 majors against a younger champion's unfinished resume. Apparently, the record book has been asked to play defense. Instead, the expert compared both men at their absolute peak. Every surface changes the answer. Certain weapons clearly favor Federer. Other advantages unexpectedly belong to Sinner. Before this analysis ends, the meaning of greatest will feel far less comfortable. Which player deserves the crown? Share your choice below and subscribe before the expert's final answer is revealed. The first thing to understand is that this is not a normal GOAT debate. If career greatness alone decides it, Federer wins before Sinner finishes bouncing the ball. The Swiss legend collected 20 Grand Slam singles titles, 103 tour-level trophies, and 1,251 match victories. He also spent 310 weeks at world number 1, including a record 237 consecutive weeks. Sinner is still climbing. At 25, the Italian owns 5 major titles after winning Wimbledon again in 2026. He has already completed the career Golden Masters by winning all 9 Masters 1000 events, a feat only Novak Djokovic had achieved before him. Yet the expert was not asked which man had built the greater career. He was considering a dream match between the best version of Federer and the best version of Sinner. That change matters. Career greatness measures everything a player achieved across many seasons. Peak greatness asks a sharper question. If both men walked onto the same court at their highest level, whose game would survive? Federer's prime offered a frightening answer. Between 2004 and 2007, he controlled men's tennis with an almost casual authority. His forehand could finish a point from anywhere. His serve created free points without depending on record-breaking speed. His movement placed him beside the ball early, giving him time that other players never seemed to receive. Sinner's current peak creates pressure differently. He stands close to the baseline, takes the ball early, and drives hard through both wings. His backhand does not merely survive attacks, it redirects them. His forehand has gained more weight, while his serve now supplies easier holds than it did early in his career. Once a neutral rally begins, Sinner turns it into an examination. Most opponents discover they forgot to study. But here is what most people get wrong about this comparison. The winner is not decided by who hits harder. It is decided by who prevents the other man from playing his favorite pattern. Sinner's favorite pattern begins with depth. A deep return or heavy first ground stroke pushes the opponent behind the baseline. From there, he changes direction without giving away control. Modern players often use extreme spin or huge pace to create openings. Sinner combines pace with unusually clean timing. That lets him send the ball through the court while keeping his position close to the baseline. Federer would not want to trade 20 backhands from that position. His one-handed backhand was beautiful, but beauty does not earn bonus points when a heavy ball keeps arriving shoulder high. Sinner would press that wing, especially on slower hard courts. He would also attack Federer's second serve with the kind of early contact that shortens reaction time. If Federer allowed the contest to become a repeated baseline exchange, the Italian would gain the clearer advantage. That sounds like the turning point, but Federer spent a career refusing to play matches on an opponent's preferred terms. His serve was not the biggest on tour. Its disguise made it dangerous. The same motion could send the ball wide, into the body, or down the center line. Sinner is an elite returner, yet reading Federer's placement would still demand perfect balance from the first shot. After the serve came the forehand. Federer regularly used it as the second half of a planned combination rather than a desperate winner. A wide serve opened the court. The next forehand attacked the empty space. When opponents protected that space, he wrong-footed them. This was tennis geometry performed at sprinting speed, which sounds deeply unfair to everyone who struggled with geometry at walking speed. Variety would become Federer's greatest weapon. Sinner loves rhythm because his timing is so precise. Federer could deny that rhythm with low slices, short angles, sudden net attacks, and changes of height. A sliced backhand would force Sinner to lift a ball from below the knee. A faster drive would then arrive before the Italian reset. Neither shot needs to be a winner. The purpose is to make the next clean strike harder. Sinner has improved at the net under Darren Cahill. He no longer looks uncomfortable moving forward, and that growth matters on grass. However, Federer lived in those transitional spaces. He knew when to close, when to fake the approach, and when to stay back. His hands allowed him to control awkward volleys that would punish less natural attackers. Sinner's passing shots would test him, but Federer would accept that risk to shorten rallies. The return of serve creates another fascinating split. Sinner is the stronger returner in a conventional baseline system. He blocks pace, attacks second serves, and lands enough returns deep to begin points on equal terms. Federer used a wider menu. He could block, chip, drive, or move forward immediately. Late in his career, he even popularized the SABR, charging toward the service line to take a second serve almost absurdly early. That tactic was partly serious and partly psychological mischief. The server suddenly saw Federer halfway inside the court before completing the motion. Even when the play failed, it planted doubt. Against Sinner, the move would not become a constant strategy because the Italian's passing ability is too strong. Used occasionally, though, it would disturb the serving rhythm and stop Sinner from feeling comfortable. Hard courts produce the closest argument. Sinner's clean power is designed for a firm, predictable bounce. Federer's best attacking tennis also flourished there. The Swiss won 6 Australian Opens and 5 straight US Opens, proving that his game traveled across different speeds and conditions. Sinner's hard court level has already delivered multiple major titles and long stretches of dominance, but his full career sample remains smaller. On a slower hard court, Sinner gains time to defend and force extra balls. His backhand can pin Federer in the ad court, while his return reduces the value of Federer's serve. On a faster court, Federer's first strike becomes more dangerous. Shorter points protect his backhand and reward his willingness to attack. Therefore, the surface label alone is not enough. The speed beneath their shoes could swing the entire match. Grass appears to favor Federer. 8 Wimbledon titles provide the obvious reason, but the technical reason matters more. Federer stayed low, moved forward naturally, and used his slice to keep the bounce below an opponent's ideal hitting zone. Sinner is now a multiple Wimbledon champion, so treating him like a tourist on grass would be ridiculous. Still, Federer's range of options was built for that surface. Clay creates a stranger contest. Federer won Roland Garros and reached several finals during the era of Rafael Nadal, the most punishing clay court obstacle imaginable. Sinner has improved greatly on clay, completing his Masters collection and showing that his pace transfers beyond hard courts. Neither man would enter this matchup with the automatic control Nadal enjoyed. Longer rallies would help Sinner, while Federer's angles and drop shots would test the Italian's movement forward. Now comes the detail that changes the entire debate. The unnamed expert did not judge this matchup from a television desk. He had personally stood across the net from both players. That expert was John Isner, one of the greatest servers tennis has seen. Isner faced Federer 10 times and managed 2 victories. He also experienced Sinner's returning and baseline pressure directly. He understands how quickly each player takes time away because he had to solve that problem while holding a racket, not a microphone. When Isner examined the dream matchup, he focused on Federer's ability to disrupt the second serve. He pictured Federer slicing the return, moving forward, and serving and volleying when necessary. Those details reveal the central idea. Isner was not choosing the prettier highlight reel. He was choosing the player with more ways to change the shape of a point. His verdict favored Federer. Fellow former professional Steve Johnson agreed. Their choice did not dismiss Sinner. In fact, Isner praised Sinner's growth under Cahill, especially his improved movement toward the net. He also described Sinner as the best baseline player in the world at that stage, even suggesting the Italian was separating himself from other elite names from the back of the court. That praise makes the Federer choice more meaningful, not less. If Sinner owns the baseline, why select Federer? Because a tennis match is not required to remain at the baseline. Federer could use his serve to begin points ahead, then use variation to stop Sinner from settling into repeated exchanges. He could chip low returns, rush the net, shorten the backswing, and change direction before the rally reached Sinner's preferred rhythm. The Swiss had tactical escape routes everywhere. Sinner's case remains powerful. His return would earn chances against Federer's second serve. His backhand would pressure Federer's weaker wing. His speed would force the Swiss to hit one more volley or one more forehand. Across 5 sets on a slower court, those demands would accumulate. Federer's attacking choices also carried risk. A missed first serve or loose approach could hand Sinner immediate control. Mental strength offers no simple separation. Federer played through championship pressure for 2 decades and recovered from painful defeats to win more majors late in his career. Sinner has shown a similarly calm exterior, responding to setbacks with technical improvement rather than public panic. Both men can appear relaxed while everyone around them needs a new set of fingernails. Physical endurance slightly favors the younger Sinner in an imagined 5-set battle. Modern baseline tennis demands repeated explosive movement, and Sinner has built his body for that task. Federer's prime movement was lighter and more economical, however. He did not always need to survive long rallies because he prevented them from becoming long. Efficiency served as his endurance plan. The equipment and court conditions complicate everything. Federer developed across an era that moved from faster attacking tennis towards slower, heavier baseline exchanges. Sinner grew inside the modern game, with advanced racket technology, detailed performance data, and opponents trained to strike aggressively from both wings. Dropping either player into the other's era without adjustment creates a fake experiment. Great champions adapt to the tools and conditions around them. This is also why calling Sinner the GOAT today goes too far. Peak ability and career greatness are related, but they are not identical. Sinner can possess tools capable of troubling prime Federer without already owning Federer's place in history. 5 majors are historic. 20 majors, 103 titles, and 310 weeks at number 1 represent an entirely different level of accumulated proof. Still, the comparison is no insult to Federer. It shows how high Sinner's current level has climbed. Experts do not seriously imagine ordinary champions against prime Federer. They choose players whose games contain enough pressure, control, and courage to make the fantasy interesting. Sinner has entered that room long before finishing his career. Yet one final question remains. Was Eisner choosing the greater player, or simply the player whose style creates the better matchup? Those are not automatically the same answer. Federer receives Eisner's vote because his variety attacks Sinner's need for rhythm. Another opponent with different strengths could alter the conclusion. Djokovic's return, Nadal's topspin, or Alcaraz's speed and improvisation would create separate tactical equations. Tennis greatness is not a video game rating where one number settles every matchup. Styles interfere with styles. For this specific contest, Federer's best path is clear. He must serve accurately, protect the second serve, use the forehand early, and move forward before Sinner controls the baseline. Every neutral rally increases Sinner's comfort. Every change of height, speed, or position restores Federer's advantage. The Swiss cannot out-Sinner Sinner. Fortunately, he never needed to. Sinner's route is equally direct. He must return deep, attack the backhand, resist chasing low-percentage winners, and make Federer play repeated volleys under pressure. Passing shots do not need to be spectacular every time. A few successful passes would make Federer hesitate. That half-second could keep him behind the baseline, where Sinner wants him. On fast grass, Federer would hold the stronger edge. On a medium-hard court, the match becomes extremely close. On slow hard courts or clay, Sinner's ability to extend exchanges increases his chance. Across a series rather than one night, neither man would dominate every condition. The expert's verdict chooses Federer, but it does not produce a straight sets parade. That is the honest conclusion. Federer remains the greater player in this two-man debate because his career achievements are overwhelming and his peak game offers more tactical solutions. Sinner owns the stronger conventional baseline package and has time to build a legacy that changes the answer. Right now, however, potential cannot collect trophies that have not been won. The irony is perfect. Sinner represents the most advanced version of modern baseline tennis. Yet Federer's answer would be to make the match less modern. Slice the return, change the height, attack the net, remove the rhythm. In a sport obsessed with hitting harder, the winning idea could simply be refusing to hit the same ball twice. Federer's crown therefore survives this examination. Not because Sinner lacks greatness, and not because the past deserves automatic protection. It survives because the numbers remain distant, while the tactical matchup still gives Federer enough variety to control where the battle happens. Sinner can win the rally. Federer can decide which rally gets played. That difference explains Isner's choice. It also explains why the debate matters. Sinner does not need to become Federer to pass him someday. He must keep building his own record, solve every surface, survive changing rivals, and remain dominant after the tour studies his patterns. Greatness begins with peak level. The GOAT argument demands years of proof. For now, Roger Federer wins the expert's dream matchup and keeps the crown. Jannik Sinner leaves with something nearly as valuable, confirmation that his game already belongs in conversations once reserved for legends. The answer is Federer today. The next chapter belongs to Sinner. Drop Federer or Sinner in the comments and explain the surface behind your choice. If intelligent tennis debates matter to you, subscribe. Next, we will break down the return pattern that makes Sinner so dangerous on hard courts.